another really fun class to work through. I think one that the longer we have them out here, I really tie into. I think she's a really, really good doe there at that top end. I think, but honestly, a really good trio of them in this top end. I think you kind of have to pick and choose which way you want to go with it. Ultimately, the one I land on, young lady here in the red, I think that's the one that probably combines the pieces of the two does behind her into the best package. I think takes both the things that I like about those two behind her and does that to a really high degree. I think that's one, and I'm trying to kind of establish a topping kind I'm after, ones that are jet level down their spine, ones that still have an awesome rib cage about them, ones that can get around the ring and just kind of float, have some presence and arrogance to them. I think that one does that to a really good degree. And then of the top five out here, that is the best touching one, squarest and smoothest over the loin edge. I like that one a really good deal to go ahead and win the class. Young ladies, doe kid that comes out here in second. One that honestly grew on me. There's some things I really find pretty good about this one. I love how just big hip she is. I love her depth of body. I don't read her to be near as just cool looking and intriguing from the side as a class winner. And I thought that one was probably just a little bit more vanilla in terms of handle quality. But I love that one from a stoutness of foundation, a depth of body, just so maternal in her look. For me, maybe just gets off behind her shoulder a tick, but a very good female nonetheless. One, the red doe, sock-footed one that comes in here in third, boy, that is one that we just have her propped up right there. You can make a really good case for her to be second, maybe even win the class. The unfortunate deal, you get your hands on her, she's too round in her loin edge, and you get in behind that one, really wants to pinch in her pin set there. If we could blow that thing open, get some more horsepower, I think that's one that you absolutely have to appreciate from a look and build standpoint. Just needs more punch for me. Two does that round out our top five, ones that I think are very good females, and just from a muscle and density standpoint, they handle really good. They're hard muscled. I wish we can make them a little bit better in terms of their design. I think one that gets a little bit more rigid in that front skeleton, one that is just a little bit coarser in how they're designed and made. But young ladies do a great job of getting these shown. Please give a round of applause for all these doe kid exhibitors.
Congratulations to Drew Markham will be coming back, and Devlin Farley will be coming back for the runoff. Sorry, Okay, coming into the ring is Class 4 of Junior Does, 0 to 12 months, weight ranging from 97 pounds to 116 pounds. Susan Clark, Remington Vance, Thomas Angood, Eva Malson, Raina Sells, and Ellie Mueller.
Another interesting class, maybe a little bit different dynamic than some that we've seen in the past couple classes. I don't know that there's one that just absolutely steamrolls it for me. I do think a nice pair on the top, and I think it's very close. You have to split hairs and kind of pick and choose whichever way you want to go. I think for me, the young lady here in the red, the doe kid that wins the class, I think that one is just a very fundamental type of doe kid, one that has enough muscle, one that I really appreciate her look and build from the side. I think she's an athlete in motion, and I think she is big and square there over a loin edge. Is she perfect? No. I'd love to see that thing staggered or foundation bigger and fuzzier legged. I think that would really make her balance probably just a little bit better from the side, but I think her elevation and just looking that front skeleton is really, really good. Probably where she beats someone in second for me. Black-headed doe kid that comes here in second, one that is really good from just a length of body and a balance standpoint. I think she probably fixed her class winner in that she is staggered her foundation, really neat hip and hind leg on her. I thought she was a little bit coarser there in her shoulder blade compared to our class winner. Not quite as big and square over her loin edge as her class winner. Young lady does a really nice job getting that one shown. Red goat that comes here in third, one that I think is just reminds me of a good brood cow. She's got some awesome depth to her body, level down her spine. For me, I thought she just got to be a little bit plainer there and kind of that ick factor. I don't know if she's built quite as cool as those two that come in. Thought she had a little bit more chest there in her front skeleton. I wish I could break that one apart a little bit, open up her pin set, but a very solid, really nice type of female you'd like to keep around. Problem child for me is the one that comes here in fourth. Man, you have to appreciate just how short-backed, boxy, and dense that thing is. I think she almost pushes it too far. I think that one gets to be a little bit shorter. There in her blade, she's just a little lower fronted than I like to see him. I wish that one had some more elevation and a little bit more exotic look and neat parts about her. If we can make that one a rib or two longer and have some height through shoulder and more flexible hind leg, I'd really like that one because I love how punchy she is. Young man's that comes here in fifth, one that I think is really good from a depth of body, maternal aspect. For me, I thought she gets to be a little lower there in her neck set, a little plainer in her pin set, and around her out of her hip. Nice class. Great job to all these exhibitors.
Okay, coming back from that class will be Susan Clark and Eva Molson. Okay, now we will do your junior doe runoff, 0 to 12 months. From class number 1, Larkin Volker and Eva Molson. Class number 2 is Drew Markham and Jovi Brunmeyer. Class number 3 is Drew Markham and Devin Farley. Class number 4 is Susan Clark and Eva Molson.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we get into our, junior doe drive here, we just got word that they got to start the steer show at 1, so I'm going to be short on the mic here. I do want to say, guys, this has been an awesome first set of junior does out here. I'm blown away by the quality. I think we were able to find a couple of them in each class that are very, very good. Just to tell you where my mind's at, I'm not going to sit here and talk each one of them individually. I think we did that in the class pretty good. in my mind, when I pick out these two, I'm thinking about the two that I would most like to own, the two that I would most like to feed, the two that I think have the brightest future ahead of them. I think I completely understand that's subjective. Another guy could come tell you two completely different ones. In my mind, there's a couple of them that are very, very good, and they've certainly been fun to watch today. I'm going to set the microphone down and show you my two favorites. Please give all these kids a round of applause.
So your overall junior doe from 0 to 12 months goes to Jovi Brunmeyer, and the reserve goes to Drew Markham. Congratulations. We're going to move right on into yearling does, ages 12 months to 16 months. Have Jalen Lane, Tegan Sales, Renee Smith, and Bradford Smith.
Interesting class if we jump into our yearlings. Not one that just jumps out to me and kind of slaps you in the face and says, "Hey, I've got to win." I think the longer we get this one out here, though, I think the young lady here and this traditionally marked one for me probably going to need to go ahead and win the class. That is a female that I think is very maternally balanced from the side. I think she's good enough down her top line. No, she is not just captivating from the side, though, as far as her front end presence, but I do think that's just a darn solid female one that's got a lot of depth to her flank and underline, one that I think is very square and athletic when you get her in motion, especially for her age. I think of the four out here, she grabbed with the most authority down her loin edge, and I like that one a pretty good deal to start. I'd love to see her sadder in her foundation and bigger legged. I think it probably makes that top pair a little closer for me, but still one that I think needs to go ahead and win. Young lady here in the paint one, man, if this thing was any burlier, I'd be so happy to let it win the class. I like that one from a look and build perspective. It's just unfortunate I get behind that one. I think that one needs to be more blown apart in its pin set, one that needs to be a little bit wider and sadder at its foundation, but one that I think is so cool looking from the side and has some very intriguing pieces about him. A young lady's here that comes in third, one that I think is, again, very good from the side, and just you study her depth of body, I think one that I think actually has some expressive shape down her top line. I think she's good enough in terms of her foundation. It's when I study that one from directly behind her, I think she really wants to pinch there in her hip loin junction and really pinch there in her pin set. If I could blow that one apart there in her chest floor and make her bigger armed, I think I'd have no problem running her towards the top. Young man here in the black doe that rounds out the class, one that I think is a good brood doe, one that I think is very good actually in terms of her rib cage. I thought she got to be the most generic in terms of her look and build of the top four, one that I think still has some nice breeding ability about her. For me, she just got to be too plain in her type and kind. Nice set of yearlings. Congratulations to all these exhibitors.
Congratulations to Jalen Lane and Tegan Sales. Okay, moving to Class 6, yearling does, ages 16 months to 20 months. Is Adele Mueller, Myron Burdine, Katie Bartrop, and Keely Betelulon.
another neat class of yearlings. Again, probably not just a class where there's one that you absolutely just love everything about. I think, probably would like to redesign some structural things on each one of them, and you probably like to say they could all be just a little bit bigger and sadder at their foundation. I think you set those transgressions aside and say, hey, which one's got the biggest back, which one's got the most muscle, and just around his cage. I think they'll pass that on to their progeny and have some good kids down the road. I think that's where the young lady here in the yellow bow and the paint doe, that they need to go ahead and win. That's one that's the widest out of the back side of her shoulder. You study her from the front, she's the widest in her chest floor and the widest and squarest at the ground. I think that one could certainly be sadder at her foundation. Probably could use a little bit more flex to that hind leg, but one that I think is very maternal, very just balanced and good looking from the side. I like that one a good deal to start. Problem goat for me, this dappled one here, I think that's probably just the coolest looking from the side when you talk about front end and how that front third is put together. I think that's the neatest bladed one. That's got a big forearm in it and some fuzzy legs relative to the class. Unfortunately, I think that goat ranks third or fourth from muscle. If that thing is square over its loin edge and has more shape over its rack, I think she could certainly make a case to win the class. I just need her to be more dense. The goat that rounds or comes here in third, one that I think is very maternal in her look from the side. Honestly, pretty level down her spine. It's when I get in behind that one and study her there. She pinches in her pin set, and she really wants to hawk in. I think that thing has a good angle to her hind leg when you study it from the side, but she's got to be square when she goes away from me. But it's still a female that certainly has some good things to her. Similar deal can be said about the one that rounds us out. Well, a female that I think is just a long-bodied, deep-sided, and you really appreciate those things about her. She gets to be a little bit generic in her front-end construction for me, a little longer in her blade, a little frailer at the ground. That thing, I want to intensify her bone work, really blow up into her pin set and give her more back shape to make this class a little bit more competitive. But great job to all these exhibitors.
Okay, in the ring is our yearling doling runoff. You have Jalen Lane, Tegan Sales, Adele Mueller, and Katie Bartrop. This is for your yearling doe, 16 months, 12 to 20 months runoff.
Jumping into our yearling doe runoff, guys, I'll tell you, I'm going to be pretty quick with it. I think we just talked him pretty good in the class, so I'm not going to talk him again. I'll tell you guys, I think there's a nice pair of them that just fit together in their type and kind and just their quality. I'm going to set the microphone down and show you the two that I like the best. Please put your hands together for all these exhibitors.
So your grand champion is Alice Mueller. And your reserve is Jalen Lane. Congratulations, ladies. In the ring is are classes 7 and 8. The first class is Senior Does, 24 to 36 months, with one entry from Megan Burdine. The second doe is Class 8, Senior Does, 36 and older, with Arabella Armstrong.
I guess we had two single entries, so we're just going to go ahead and roll into the senior doe drive here. I think a couple of females that are very different in their type and kind. And not only is it an age deal, but I think, we've got one that's probably a little bit more refined and feminine. Maybe just you like her top line integrity a little bit better. You like her look just a little bit better. And then you've got one that you have to appreciate from a stoutness and just a brood power perspective. I think you can kind of pick and choose and go either way. A very nice pair of them. In my mind, I like this one the best. Please put your hands together for your advanced doe.
So Arabella Armstrong will be your class winner in Class 7 and your grand champion for Senior Does. And your reserve will be Megan Burdine. Congratulations. Now we will do an overall runoff.
Well, guys, as we draw to a close of the doe show and I guess the goat show as a whole, first off, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't make a note and say how much I appreciate getting the call to come out here and sort y'all's goat shows the past couple of days. I've thoroughly enjoyed every second of it. I think the quality of the people running the show, all the volunteers, all the paid staff here, guys, man, they do a great job. Truly have been one of the most efficient and just easygoing shows I've ever participated in. I think the quality of the livestock has been very good, and I think the showmen have been even better. Y'all have all been so very respectful, and I greatly appreciate you guys making me feel welcomed out here. I've enjoyed every bit of it, and kind of going to be sad to go home, to tell you the truth. All that being said, kids, as y'all go home, make sure, again, you thank your parents, please. This is a big investment financially. It takes a lot to go into all of this, And I know obviously there's a lot of work on y'all's end, but there's a bunch of sacrifices that need to be made to make this whole deal happen. But I hope you make a lot of memories. I hope you enjoy every second of it and soak it all up. Because I can tell you what, you get old like me and you're going to miss it. You're going to look back and remember the days you were in the ring, regardless of how it shook out. But you're going to remember you did it, and you're going to make a lot of good memories doing it. All that being said, again, I appreciate you all so very much. Please, 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 guys, let's put a big round of applause together for all these kids that made it out here for the dough drive. I'm going to set their microphone down and show you my favorites. Congratulations, all of them.
Okay, your overall goes to Jovi Brunmeyer, and your reserve is Drew Markham. Congratulations, and that completes our breeding doe show. Have a great day. Ladies, please go tell the show office if you're doing round robin.